The sun began to rise over the African savanna, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. This vast land was filled with life, where tall grasses danced gently in the warm breeze and acacia trees stood proudly against the horizon. The savanna was home to many animals, from graceful gazelles leaping through fields to elephants wandering majestically in search of water. Each day brought new adventures and stories as the circle of life unfolded. But not all stories in the savanna were joyful. Danger lurked in the shadows. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. Poachers often crept through the tall grass, their eyes scanning for unsuspecting wildlife. They sought to capture animals for their skins and bones, destroying the delicate balance of nature. The vibrant sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves were sometimes interrupted by the distant sounds of engines, signaling that trouble was near. In this beautiful yet perilous landscape lived a lioness named Nyara. She was a strong and nurturing mother, fiercely protective of her new cubs. Nyara roamed her territory with pride, confident in her role as a protector of her little ones. The savanna was their home, a place where they could grow and learn under the watchful eyes of their mother. Nyara had always known how to survive in this wild environment. But now, with her newborns at her side, everything felt more urgent and vulnerable. As Nyara nestled her tiny cubs in a cozy spot beneath a large baobab tree, she felt a mix of joy and worry. The cubs were small and helpless, relying on her for everything. Their soft fur glistened under the sun as they played and tumbled around each other, making sweet little noises that melted Nyara's heart. But deep down, she knew that danger was ever present. Stories spread among animals about poachers lurking nearby, hunters who did not care for life or love, but only for profit. With this threat looming, Nyara began to strategize. She carefully chose hidden spots for her cubs throughout the day, places where they could feel safe and shielded from view. She would lead them into thickets and behind rocks, teaching them to stay quiet and still when danger approached. Every rustle of grass made her heart race. Every distant noise sent chills down her spine. Meanwhile, on another part of the savanna, a brave woman named Amina was determined to make a difference. She had dedicated her life to protecting wildlife and had heard whispers about poachers threatening Nyara's family. Amina felt a strong connection to the animals she fought for. She understood that they deserved safety and love just as much as any human being. As she set out on her journey across the sun-kissed plains, Amina took in the beauty around her. The vibrant colors of flowers blooming under the sun, the excitement of young animals discovering their world for the first time. Yet in her heart, she also felt an urgency. She wanted to help Nyara before it was too late. The savanna was alive with wonder, but also filled with uncertainty. It needed heroes, both animal and human, to stand together against the threats that loomed over them. Little did they know that their paths were destined to cross, leading to an incredible tale of bravery and hope that would echo through the land for years to come. Nyara, the lioness, was no ordinary mother. She possessed a fierce spirit and a deep love for her newborn cubs who were just starting to explore the world around them. With soft, fuzzy fur and curious little eyes, her cubs filled her heart with joy. Each day was filled with new discoveries as they learned to navigate the sprawling savanna under Nyara's watchful gaze. As a proud member of her pride, Nyara had always been known for her strength and determination. She moved gracefully across the landscape, her muscles rippling under her golden coat. But it was not just her physical prowess that defined her. It was the tenderness she showed toward her cubs that truly set her apart. Niara would gently nuzzle them when they stumbled or mewed softly when they called out for her attention. In those moments, all the dangers of the savannah faded away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of love. Despite this warmth in her heart, Niara was acutely aware of the threats that loomed around them. As a mother, instinct kicked in whenever she sensed danger nearby. Her ears perked up at every rustle in the grass, and her eyes narrowed in focus whenever she caught sight of movement. She knew that poachers were a constant danger in their territory, and she felt an urgent need to protect her little ones from harm. To ensure their safety, Niara developed clever strategies to keep her cubs hidden from prying eyes. When she was away hunting or scouting for food, she would tuck them away in secret spots, underneath thick bushes or behind large rocks, carefully choosing locations that provided both cover and protection. Even as she roamed far from them to hunt for food, every fiber of her being remained connected to those tiny lives relying on her. Niara's instincts were sharp. She could pick up on subtle changes in the environment long before any threat materialized. If the wind shifted or if silence fell suddenly across the savannah, she would immediately become alert. Her heart raced as she imagined what dangers could be lurking nearby. Yet even amid these worries, Niara found moments of joy as she watched her cubs play together, their small bodies tumbling over each other as they practiced pouncing and chasing one another. Each growl and snarl from their mother instructed them about the world outside. It taught them to listen closely and react swiftly when needed. Niara wanted nothing more than for them to grow up strong and capable like herself, but also knew that an important part of being a lioness involved understanding their surroundings. With every nurturing moment spent with them came an underlying fear, a fear rooted deeply in love and instinct, that drove Niara forward with unwavering determination. She would fight tooth and claw to protect them against any danger that threatened their lives. One day, while resting under the shade of an acacia tree, Niara looked down at her tiny cubs curled up next to each other, dreaming peacefully. A rush of love washed over her as she thought about what lay ahead, the adventures they would share and the challenges they would face together. Little did she know that soon enough, help would arrive from an unexpected ally, a brave woman named Amina who shared in Niara's mission to protect those precious lives against all odds. The bond between mother and cubs would soon intertwine with Amina's courage as they all fought for survival in a world filled with both beauty and danger. The day was warm, and the sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the savannah. Niara, the lioness, felt a stirring deep within her, a powerful instinct that told her it was time. She had been preparing for this moment, feeling the changes in her body and spirit as her pregnancy progressed. Now, she sought a quiet and safe place where she could bring her new life into the world. Finding a secluded spot beneath the broad branches of an acacia tree, Niara settled into the soft grass. The world around her faded as she focused on the task ahead. With each contraction, she drew on her inner strength. The sounds of the savannah, chirping birds and rustling leaves, seemed to whisper encouragement as she took deep breaths. Moments turned into hours, and after what felt like an eternity, Niara finally felt the first little cub emerge. It was a moment filled with pure joy and relief. With gentle nudges from her nose and careful licks from her tongue, she cleaned the tiny creature, helping it take its first breaths. The little cub squirmed and let out its first soft, mewling cry, announcing its arrival to the world. One by one, Niara gave birth to 3 more cubs, each one as precious as the last. Her heart swelled with love as she gazed at them. Soft bundles of fur with tiny paws and barely open eyes. They were all so small, yet filled with potential. They would grow strong under her care. Niara instinctively knew that these little lives depended on her for everything. With each cub nuzzling against her side, seeking warmth and comfort, Niara felt overwhelmed with emotion. This was motherhood in its purest form, a blend of joy and responsibility that filled every corner of her heart. She purred softly to soothe them, feeling their tiny bodies relax against hers as they instinctively sought nourishment. As dusk began to settle over the savannah, painting the sky in shades of pink and purple, Niara watched over her newborns with fierce protectiveness. She knew that they were vulnerable beings in a vast world filled with dangers. Predators lurked nearby, while humans posed an even greater threat. Yet in this moment, all that mattered was their safety. Niara gently nudged each cub to make sure they were close together. They curled up against her warm body like little stars clustering around a glowing sun. She groomed them with tender care, licking their soft fur until they were clean and comfortable. Her heart sang with pride as she watched them snuggle into one another for warmth. Every now and then, one of the cubs would try to stand up on wobbly legs or paw at their mother's ear playfully. These innocent moments brought laughter to Niara's heart. She knew they had much to learn about life in the savannah ahead of them, but for now, all they needed was each other. As night fell over the savannah and stars began to twinkle above them like diamonds scattered across velvet fabric, Niara kept watch over her precious family. She remained alert, but also felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over her. A promise that she would protect these tiny lives at all costs. Little did she know that just beyond the horizon lay challenges that would test that promise like never before, but also bring unexpected allies into their lives. A brave woman named Amina, who would soon become part of their story in ways none could foresee. In this magical moment of new beginnings and family bonds, hope flickered brightly beneath the vast African sky. As Niara nestled her cubs close to her, the harmonious sounds of the savannah were often pierced by a more sinister noise, the rumble of engines and the crunch of tires on gravel roads. Poachers prowled the land like shadows, driven by greed and the allure of profit. Their presence posed a dark threat to all wildlife, a constant danger that loomed over the vibrant ecosystem that filled the savannah. These poachers weren't just after lions. They sought to capture any animals they could find: elephants for their ivory tusks, rhinos for their horns, and countless other creatures that might fetch a high price in illegal markets. The motivation behind their actions was as chilling as it was simple: money. Each hide and paw print sold could bring them wealth beyond imagination, but at a devastating cost to the environment and its inhabitants. The delicate balance of life in the savannah hung by a thread, with every act of hunting taking its toll. As wild animals were taken from their habitats, ecosystems became unstable. Niara's pride relied on the intricate web of life around them. Without healthy populations of prey and numerous species coexisting, their own lives would be in jeopardy. The grassy plains that provided sustenance for antelope and zebras also supported the lioness's family. When poachers hunted recklessly, they disturbed everything. Niara knew instinctively that she had to protect her cubs against not only physical threats, but also this insidious evil lurking in the shadows. In her heart, she felt a weight of responsibility that was heavy yet motivating. With each passing day, as she kept watch over her newborns, she recalled the stories passed down from older lions about the humans who invaded their lands. Tales echoed in her mind of majestic creatures caught in traps, or worse, falling victim to merciless hunters. To survive, Niara developed a keen sense of awareness. She studied the landscape with an intensity that never waned, using her acute senses to detect even the faintest sign of danger. If a strange scent wafted through the air, or if distant sounds grew louder, Niara would instinctively pull her cubs closer and lead them into deeper cover among the thickets, where they could remain hidden until she felt it was safe to emerge. Despite her efforts to keep her cubs safe, the threat always felt imminent. The poachers would come, using tactics that were as cunning as they were ruthless. They often employed strong lighting at night, blinding animals to temporarily subdue them before capturing them in nets or tranquilizers. Niara's heart raced with anxiety at the thought of her little ones being swept away. While nature thrived in harmony around her, wildebeests migrating across vast distances and birds flying freely above, she saw the undeniable signs that reminded her of how fragile it all was. Niara understood that poaching extended beyond just harming individual animals. It endangered entire generations and deeply affected families relying on one another within the pride. Yet there was still hope stirred within her heart. A distant voice whispered promises of change, a yearning for protection against this malevolence. Little did Niara know that there was someone out there ready to fight alongside her. Amina, with her fierce passion and determination to preserve wildlife, sought to protect not only Niara's family, but all creatures navigating the threats posed by human greed. As these two worlds began to intertwine, a battle against darkness formed, a tale of courage unwavering against those who sought to exploit nature's beauty for their own gain. In every heartbeat of the savannah, there echoed a reminder that while danger was real, so too was the potential for bravery and resilience to rise against it. As Niara gazed at her precious cubs, she felt a surge of love mixed with anxiety. The poaching threat weighed heavily on her mind, urging her to find the safest places for her little ones to hide. Instinctively, she began to scout the area for dense cover, knowing that every second counted in their quest for safety. The tall grasses around them swayed gently in the breeze, providing perfect concealment. Niara navigated the lush landscape with careful precision, training her eyes to spot hidden nooks and crannies where she could tuck her cubs away from prying eyes. She knew that even the slightest movement could attract attention. So she approached this task with determination and patience. When it was time to find a hiding spot, Niara led her cubs into a thick patch of tall grass. The green blades shot up high enough to provide excellent camouflage. Here, with their tiny bodies nestled together, they were nearly invisible. Niara crouched low beside them, every muscle in her body at ease, yet alert. She watched keenly as they settled down, each little nose resting against the other's back, while marveling at how quickly they picked up on their mother's protective instincts. Yet hiding was not enough. Niara understood that she had to teach them how to stay quiet and still. As they lay together in the grass, she growled softly, her low rumble training them on the need for silence during possible threats. Those adorable little faces gazed up at her with trust and curiosity as they learned from their mother's every move. Occasionally, one of the cubs would fidget or whimper, a sign of their youthful excitement, prompting Niara to give them gentle nudges or soft purrs of reassurance. If they began to make too much noise, she would carefully place her paw over them until they calmed down again. It was a dance etched into their memories. Remain quiet and vigilant while under her watch. As days passed and danger loomed closer with each passing moment, Niara continued this practice of strategically hiding them in various locations across their territory. She found hidden groves surrounded by thicket, where shadows cast large silhouettes and offered more security than sunlight splashed across open grassland. One day, while exploring further afield than usual, Niara stumbled upon a tangle of bushes that seemed like a passing cloud had draped itself over an untouched portion of land. With renewed excitement glimmering in her eyes, she motioned for her cubs to follow her into this new sanctuary amid nature's folds. In this cozy nook, layered branches provided perfect shelter from aerial views. One only needed to look closely at ground level to catch glimpses of those playful little lion paws peeking through green leaves. As Niara settled beside them under mightier foliage above, an embodiment of protection, the soundscape shifted around them. Rustling leaves became whispers, assuring safety within nature's embrace. Every instinct within Niara set off alarms as night unfurled its dark curtain across the savanna sky, the perfect stage for prowlers amidst fading daylight. And each sound sharpened. A twig snapping echoed like thunder in her ears, while shadows shifted among the grasses that seemed lighter against twilight's edge. Each night became an opportunity for vigilance, but also bonding. The cubs snuggled against one another as warmth spread through their bodies, bolstered by strength drawn from being near Mom's fierce presence, who remained steadfast next to them through both hope and fear. A guardian determined that no harm would ever come to this cherished family entrusted into existence by circumstances beyond any caught beforehand. Those beautiful moments shared under cracked stars, weaving tales told without words, spoken aloud between creatures forever family bound by love. While hiding may have been vital initially, it was also about learning survival. The knowledge imparted under wise maternal care, instilling courage into tiny hearts that would one day roar just as fiercely from which they descended themselves. As boundless futures awaited once safety unfolded ahead, alongside Amina's courageous actions, soon arriving onto this unfolding journey through dangerous roads ahead. Amina stood on the edge of the savannah, feeling the warm sun on her skin and the gentle breeze rustling through her hair. As a dedicated wildlife activist, she had spent years traveling to different regions, working tirelessly to protect endangered species and their habitats. Her heart was passionately committed to preserving the natural world. And today, she was on a mission to combat the growing threat of poaching that was devastating the wildlife in this beautiful land. Word of the local poaching crisis had reached Amina through her connections in conservation circles. Stories of lions, elephants, and other majestic creatures falling victim to ruthless hunters fueled her determination to act. She knew that much of Africa's wildlife was struggling against greed and exploitation, and she felt a deep responsibility to intervene where she could. With each step she took, Amina's resolve only strengthened. Equipped with her knowledge of wildlife behavior and poaching strategies, she began her day by visiting local communities to raise awareness about the importance of protecting the savanna's inhabitants. Amina spoke with villagers, sharing stories of the incredible wildlife they were fortunate to have nearby. She reminded them that these animals were not just part of the landscape. They were vital members of an ecological community that supported their very existence. As Amina walked through the tall grasses, she imagined how breathtaking it would be to see a lioness with her cubs playing in the wild. But with each passing moment, her thoughts turned darker as she recalled the reports of poachers prowling nearby. The more she learned about their tactics, their traps hidden in bushes and night hunts using blinding lights, the more anxious she became. She wished there was more she could do to keep these animals out of harm's way. Determined to make a difference, Amina decided it was time to venture deeper into the territory known for lion sightings. With each step, she felt both excitement and fear. What if she encountered a lioness? Would she be able to help keep that family safe? The thought propelled her forward with renewed energy. As she moved cautiously, Amina became aware of the sounds enveloping her. The gentle rustling of leaves and distant calls of birds, filling her with both tranquility and a sense of urgency. She spotted tracks in the ground, paw prints left behind by lions traversing their territory. Carefully studying them, she followed the trail toward a hidden grove where lush greenery beckoned. Amina paused as she approached the thicket, sensing something magical might lie ahead. Could there be a pride nearby? As she entered the dense underbrush, a rush of excitement coursed through her veins. She knew it was essential to remain quiet and respectful. This was home for these animals, and it needed to be treated with care. Peering into a small clearing surrounded by tall grasses, Amina's breath caught in her throat as she spotted Niara with her precious cubs nestled close by. The sight filled her heart with warmth, a moment full of love and tenderness that brought tears to her eyes. Yet that joy quickly mingled with a surge of urgency as she remembered why she was there. Poachers lurked nearby, ready to disrupt this peaceful scene. Amina understood what was at stake. Niara's protective instincts mirrored her own dedication to safeguarding these innocent lives from harm. Feeling an overwhelming sense of duty rise within her, Amina resolved to do whatever was necessary to protect Niara and her cubs from those who sought profit over nature's beauty. Stepping back into the shadows, Amina formulated a plan in her mind. She would need allies among local communities and fellow activists alike if they were going to combat this threat effectively. With renewed purpose guiding her steps, Amina felt that fate had intertwined their destinies. Together, they could rise against those who threatened this vibrant ecosystem. As dusk fell across the savannah, casting long shadows over Niara's family nestled in their hiding place, Amina stood firm, her heart set on rallying support for their cause, while uniting in spirit with those who roamed freely beneath African skies, yet understood vulnerability's delicate dance between survival and hope. Little did they know how their paths would soon cross in an extraordinary fight for life itself. Amina stood at the edge of the savannah, her heart racing as she felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The stories she had heard about poachers targeting mothers and their young weighed heavily in her mind. In that moment, she made a firm decision. She would go into the heart of this beautiful yet dangerous land to help protect Niara and her precious cubs. The lioness and her family deserved a fighting chance against those who sought to harm them. Armed with knowledge gleaned from years of studying wildlife behavior and poaching tactics, Amina felt a surge of courage. She knew that understanding how poachers operated was vital if she was going to counter their efforts effectively. With every step she took, her resolve strengthened. She could not stand idly by while innocent lives were at risk. A deep sense of purpose guided her through the tall grasses that whispered secrets of both beauty and danger. As she ventured deeper into the territory known for lion sightings, Amina focused on gathering information. She listened carefully to the sounds around her, the rustling leaves, distant animal calls, and the subtle shifts in the air, each clue offering hints about what lay ahead. It was essential for her to remain alert and aware, not only for her safety, but also for Niara's family. If poachers were nearby, Amina would need to act quickly. Her training had taught her that knowledge was power, but it was also about building connections with local communities who lived alongside these majestic animals. Amina had already established relationships with several villagers who shared her passion for wildlife conservation. She remembered their faces filled with hope as they spoke about preserving their natural heritage, and she felt inspired to rally them once more. Arriving at a small village nestled near the edge of the savannah, Amina wasted no time in sharing what she had learned about the poaching crisis. With each passionate word spoken, she ignited a spark within the hearts of those gathered around her. They listened intently as she outlined a plan to work together, using their collective knowledge to protect Niara and other wildlife from harm. As dusk approached and painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, Amina could see determination reflected in the villagers' eyes. Together, they formed an alliance dedicated to safeguarding nature's treasures against those who sought profit over preservation. Each individual brought unique skills to the table. Some were skilled trackers, while others knew how to navigate through dense brush without making a sound. With allies by her side, Amina felt an overwhelming sense of hope rise within her heart. They would be stronger together than apart. As night fell over the savannah, she gathered everyone for one final meeting beneath the stars, a reminder that they were part of something greater than themselves. Amina shared stories about Nyara's fierce love for her cubs and how important it was for them all to act swiftly before poachers encroached upon their territory further. She encouraged everyone present to stay vigilant and support one another as guardians of wildlife. As they discussed strategies to monitor areas where poachers might strike or set traps, Amina felt an electric energy course through the group, a shared commitment fueled by passion for life itself. With plans now in motion, Amina set out towards where she had last seen Nyara and her cubs just hours ago. With each step toward that hidden grove filled with lush greenery, determination coursed through her veins. She envisioned herself standing beside Nyara, a fierce ally united in purpose, to keep this family safe against all odds. Little did they know how intertwined their destinies would soon become. Two mothers, one human and one lioness, standing together against threats looming in their beloved savannah home. After rallying the villagers and forming a plan, Amina made her way back toward the grove where she had last caught a glimpse of Nyara and her cubs. The sun had begun to dip low in the sky, casting an enchanting golden light over the savannah, creating long shadows that danced across the landscape. Each step she took filled her with a mix of excitement and nervousness. She could barely contain the pounding of her heart as she thought about finally meeting the lioness and her family. As she approached the thicket, Amina moved quietly, her senses heightened by the anticipation of what lay ahead. The air was thick with the scent of grass and wildflowers, but there was also a hint of something more. Something that spoke of life and warmth hidden just beyond the dense foliage. With every careful step, Amina felt a connection growing stronger within her, as if she were walking toward her own family rather than simply another creature of the wild. Peering through the tall grasses, Amina's breath caught in her throat as she spotted Nyara nestled protectively around her cubs. The scene was nothing short of breathtaking, a display of love that radiated from the lioness as she licked each tiny cub clean, their soft fur glistening in the fading sunlight. The cubs wriggled playfully against one another, their innocent curiosity shining through as they began to explore their surroundings. In that moment, Amina's heart swelled with emotion. She felt a deep sense of admiration for Nyara, a lioness who was not only fierce but also tender, embodying both strength and nurturing. To see a mother fiercely devoted to protecting her young resonated deeply within her, reminding Amina of her own experiences advocating for young lives threatened by external forces. A wave of warmth washed over Amina as she watched Nyara respond to every gentle whimper or playful nudge from her cubs. Nyara's watchful gaze never wavered. She remained alert to any sound or movement around them. The protective instinct that guided Nyara mirrored Amina's own commitment to safeguarding these beautiful creatures from harm. Tears welled in Amina's eyes as she witnessed this heartwarming moment. The bond between mother and cubs radiated an energy that transcended species. It was a reminder that love and care could flourish even in the face of danger, igniting a fire within Amina to act decisively for their protection. She understood that this family deserved every chance to thrive. Feeling a sudden rush of determination, Amina knelt low to the ground, trying her best to remain hidden while still allowing herself to absorb every detail of this precious sight. She cherished the closeness of nature. The gentle sounds of rustling leaves, soft growls from Niara, and squeaks from the cubs filled her ears like music. It was a reminder that they were all part of something larger than themselves, interconnected through life's fragile web. As night began to settle over the savannah, casting a blanket of stars across the sky above them, Amina made a silent vow to Niara and her cubs. She would do everything in her power to keep them safe from poachers. In that quiet moment shared with them under the shimmering starlight, she felt a profound connection, a promise forged between two mothers, one human and one lioness. With renewed purpose coursing through her veins, Amina rose cautiously from her hiding place, careful not to disturb the family before her. Their destinies were now intertwined. She would stand beside Niara and fight for all they held dear against those who threatened their world. As hope blossomed in the depths of her heart, Amina knew that together they would rise against adversity, united in love and determination for survival in their beloved savannah home. With hope igniting her heart, Amina knew she had to take immediate action to protect Niara and her cubs from the looming threat of poachers. Stepping back from the grove where the lioness lay, she formulated a strategic plan that would involve local authorities, wildlife experts, and passionate activists who shared her mission of conservation. Amina first considered how important it was to inform the local wildlife authority about the poaching activities reported in the area. She envisioned a partnership where they could coordinate patrols during critical times, particularly at night when poachers were most active. By sharing detailed information collected from her conversations with villagers and her observations in the field, Amina could help authorities map out areas that required monitoring. Next, Amina understood the need for effective communication among all stakeholders involved. She decided to organize a meeting with local leaders to discuss the protection of Niara and her cubs specifically, but also to address larger conservation efforts in the region. Using her skills as an advocate, she passionately outlined how protecting this lioness family could serve as a vital symbol for wildlife conservation and community involvement. A rallying point for future initiatives. She imagined how uplifting it would be for villagers and authorities alike to see success stories emerge from their collaborative efforts. Together, they could enhance awareness about poaching's destructive reach not only on wildlife, but on their own livelihoods. Losing animals meant losing biodiversity and potential ecotourism that brought economic benefits. Highlighting these connections would inspire others to care deeply about preserving their natural heritage. Moreover, Amina planned to activate her network of fellow wildlife activists who worked tirelessly elsewhere. She reached out to her contacts through messages she had saved in her phone, sharing updates about Niara's situation and activating support through social media platforms. Together, they could leverage their collective voices to draw greater attention and resources toward conservation needs, creating a ripple effect far beyond their immediate surroundings. In addition to coordinating with officials and activists, Amina recognized the value of engaging local youth in wildlife protection efforts. She envisioned educational workshops that could teach children about conservation, connecting them with their environment while creating future guardians for these beautiful landscapes. With young people striving to protect their natural world, community-driven protection initiatives could emerge and become even more sustainable over time. As night descended over the savannah once more, casting magical shadows against the moonlight, Amina felt reassured in her approach. She would gather all possible resources into one effort focused on Niara's family. She knew that every voice mattered. They had to come together to amplify their message of hope and protection. Determined not to waste any time, Amina returned to the village with renewed energy. She immediately started discussing potential collaboration with individuals she felt shared her passion. Her plan began taking shape quickly as she divvied up responsibilities among community members. Some would scout for signs of poachers, while others spread awareness, creating a vigilant network positioned against harm. As dawn broke the following day, over the African plains with shades of gold spilling through wispy clouds, Amina felt ready to start implementing her plan. With each passing moment, she sensed progress growing closer, even if it took time. The path may be arduous, but she believed fiercely that together they would rise against adversity. Amina envisioned herself standing alongside Niara in spirit, both mothers wanting what was best for their families. A united force against those neglectful of life's worth, shared under vast African horizons. She felt confident that they would change the narrative together, that this savanna would echo with love and resilience, rather than fear and loss for generations to come. The night was darker than usual over the savanna, the air heavy with tension as Amina and her allies gathered at the edge of the thicket, close to Niara's hidden grove. The stars above twinkled brightly, but their beauty was overshadowed by the fear that gripped Amina's heart. They had received reports of poachers nearby, and it was now or never to act before it was too late. Amina looked around at her companions, local villagers and fellow wildlife activists, their expressions mirroring her own determination and apprehension. They had come together, all driven by a fierce desire to protect Niara and her cubs. Tonight, they would confront the threat head-on. As they crouched low and moved silently through the tall grass, each step felt like an eternity. Amina glanced at her watch. Time was of the essence. They needed to reach the grove before any harm came to Niara's family. The sound of rustling leaves drew Amina's attention. It sent chills down her spine as she recalled the tactics used by poachers, cunning hunters who took advantage of night's cover to sneak up on unsuspecting prey. "Stay alert," Amina whispered to her group, her voice steady but urgent. "We can't let them find Niara." They pressed on through the darkness, hearts pounding in unison with each rustle of grass or distant animal call. Suddenly, they spotted a flicker of movement in the shadows ahead. A figure moving stealthily toward Niara's hiding spot. A wave of dread washed over Amina as she recognized a poacher's silhouette against the moonlit sky. Without hesitation, she signaled for everyone to spread out slightly, approaching quietly yet strategically from different angles. She thought about what she had learned regarding confrontation. Surprise and unity could turn fear into strength when facing those who sought to exploit innocent lives. As they neared closer to where Niara rested with her cubs, Amina could hear faint sounds, the soft mewing of the tiny cubs mixed with a low growl from their mother, warning any intruders nearby. This only fueled Amina's resolve. She steeled herself for what lay ahead. Then came a shout from one of her allies, an alert that pierced through the stillness of night. "There, the poacher." Together, they moved forward swiftly but cautiously. In that moment, everything seemed to freeze. The wind stilled as surprise swept across both sides. The poacher spotted Amina and her team just as he turned to approach where Niara lay hidden in safety. His eyes widened in shock before returning to hardened resolve. This was not how he expected his night to unfold. Amina stepped forward boldly, meeting his gaze unwaveringly despite her heart racing inside her chest. "You're not going to harm them," she proclaimed fiercely, feeling empowerment surge within her. But he smirked back defiantly. "You think you can stop me?" Just then, other villagers emerged from behind trees and bushes surrounding him, a group united for one purpose: to protect their home and its inhabitants against threats that challenged life itself. Feeling cornered now, amidst their determination and numbers growing stronger by the second, the poacher hesitated. He glanced around nervously for an escape route, but realized he was trapped between fierce devotion and his own greed. Amina could see Niara watching closely from within her thicket, while keeping her cubs protected under warm shadows. This powerful lioness remained a symbol of resilience in that moment, against adversity faced by both animals and humans alike. "What you do here tonight matters," Amina shouted again with fervor, as she stepped even closer toward him, with unwavering purpose behind every word spoken. A plea layered deep within bravery, grown tenfold amidst nature's embrace around them all. Slowly backing away from confrontation, but without surrendering fully to his intentions yet either. Understanding poured forth amongst both sides, breathing life into new conversations, waiting just beyond this fraught interaction, moments away from altering everything moving forward together, in that charged moment beneath stars shining high above. The woman determined alongside creatures longing simply for safety, intertwined paths leading bravely forward toward shared victory. Forging bonds forged on hope, blossoming freely throughout expansive lands, once deemed empty under threat, starkened against kindness, taking root instead. Following the confrontation with the poacher, a palpable shift occurred in the air around Niara and her cubs, as Amina and her allies successfully chased away the threat. A sense of calm began to settle over the grove. Niara watched from her protective position, her instincts finely tuned as she observed the humans who had come to stand against danger. The lioness's heart raced, but she sensed something different about Amina and her companions. They weren't like the poachers. There was a warmth to their presence that felt reassuring. At first, Niara remained cautious, instinctively guarding her cubs while peeking through the tall grass at this strange woman who had spoken boldly to the man that sought to harm them. With each passing moment, however, Amina's gentle demeanor began to resonate with Niara's maternal instincts. She could see how Amina had taken charge, showing bravery not just for herself, but for Niara's family too. As Amina moved closer, carefully maintaining a non-threatening posture, she spoke softly toward the grove. "It's okay, beautiful one. You're safe now," she said, her voice a soothing melody that cut through the lingering tension in the air. There was something in Amina's tone, an understanding and genuine care that made Niara's protective nature soften just slightly. The lioness had been conditioned by years of survival against threats. Trust was not easily given. Yet tonight, she felt an undeniable pull toward this human. There was no aggression in her movements, only a strong desire to protect. As Amina knelt down and extended her hand slowly, palm upturned toward the ground, Niara's curiosity grew stronger than her caution. Amina had learned from her experiences with wildlife that making oneself small and non-threatening could help bridge the gap between species. She waited patiently, allowing Niara to take in her scent and presence without pushing further. The cubs, sensing their mother's changing demeanor, began to creep closer to Amina as well, drawn by the warmth of this new ally. Niara took a tentative step forward, her golden eyes locked onto Amina's gaze. It was as though she were searching for an unspoken promise. In that instant, both beings recognized a kindred spirit fortified by love for their young, the lioness for her cubs, and Amina for all creatures who roam this land. It was a bridge built on shared vulnerability and hope. As Amina continued to speak softly, her words wrapping around them like a protective blanket, Niara felt something shift within herself. The weight of worry began to lift as she sensed that this woman truly wanted what was best for her family. Each gentle word seemed to intertwine their fates even further. They were united now in purpose. Amina slowly pulled out a small piece of meat she had brought along, part of a plan to gain trust through nourishment, and placed it gently on the ground between them. Niara watched closely as one of her cubs cautiously approached, their tiny nose twitching with curiosity over the unfamiliar scent. When the little cub tentatively reached out and took a bite, Niara felt a rush of relief wash over her. With that small act of kindness, Amina had crossed another barrier. Trust began to flourish between them. A bond formed not just in fear, but in shared compassion for life itself amidst adversity. As time passed under the starlit sky, Niara allowed herself to relax more fully beside Amina and her newfound allies. The humans' intentions were clear. They were not there to harm, but to safeguard what mattered most: their families. This evolution from uncertainty toward acceptance marked a pivotal moment, not only in their relationship, but also within Niara's spirit as she embraced this change. In that quiet space, filled with gentle rustling leaves and soft purring from her cubs, Amina felt a profound connection deepen with each passing heartbeat. Together, they stood strong against all odds. The lioness and human united as protectors of life beneath vast African skies. A symbol of hope forging ahead into an uncertain future filled with possibilities yet unseen. The tension in the air began to dissipate as Amina and her allies stood victorious after driving the poacher away. The confrontation had been intense, but the lioness and her cubs were safe for now. Niara, still cautious but beginning to trust the humans around her, stayed close to her cubs, who were nestled against her warm body. Their little tails flicked with relief, and soft purrs filled the grove as the immediate danger had passed. Amina watched as Niara's protective instincts began to ease. The lioness carefully surveyed her surroundings, her golden eyes scanning for any sign of threat. It was clear that she remained vigilant, but there was a new softness in her gaze as she looked at Amina and her team. This human had stood up for her family, and that act of bravery planted a seed of trust in Niara's heart. As the night wore on, Amina realized it was essential to check on the well-being of Niara's cubs. They were still so young and vulnerable. Carefully, she approached the lioness, keeping her movements slow and deliberate to avoid startling her. She knelt down at a respectful distance and spoke softly. "It's okay, beautiful family. You're safe now." Her words flowed like a gentle breeze, wrapping around them in comfort. Niara's ears perked up at Amina's soothing tone, and she took a cautious step closer, allowing Amina to see her playful cubs more clearly. The little ones were curious now, slowly creeping toward Amina as they sensed their mother's gradual acceptance of this kind-hearted ally. One daring cub ventured forward first, its tiny paws patting softly on the ground. Amina reached into her bag and retrieved another piece of meat she had brought along, placing it gently on the ground between them. The cubs hesitated for just a moment before their instinct took over. One bold little one darted forward, sniffing the offering before eagerly taking a bite. Niara watched closely, pride swelling within her as she recognized that this human was there to nurture rather than harm. As the night sky twinkled with stars above them, Amina felt a profound connection growing between herself and Niara's family. This moment marked a significant turning point. No longer were they just an activist and a wild animal in separate worlds. They were allies united in purpose. But beyond the emotional bond forming between them lay an urgent reality. They needed to remain vigilant against any returning threats. Amina quickly organized a rotating watch system among her allies to ensure that someone would always be present to guard against poachers, while others rested or took care of tasks back in the village. Meanwhile, Niara began to relax fully beside Amina as the warmth of companionship enveloped them both. She could sense that these humans shared not only a passion for wildlife, but also an understanding of motherhood. The same fierce love that drove her to protect her little ones now resonated among Amina and her companions. As dawn broke over the savannah, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Amina couldn't help but smile at the sight before her. Niara grooming her cubs lovingly while resting peacefully near Amina's side. It was a scene filled with hope, a symbol that even amidst danger and uncertainty, bonds could be forged through compassion. With renewed purpose igniting her spirit, Amina vowed to do everything possible to ensure this family remained safe. She envisioned organizing community efforts for ongoing protection while raising awareness about wildlife conservation among villagers who lived alongside these magnificent creatures. Together with Niara's newfound trust guiding their path forward, Amina felt confident that they could create lasting change. A future where lions roamed freely without fear and where humans worked hand in hand with nature rather than against it. In that moment of unity beneath vast African skies, hope blossomed like wildflowers across the savannah, a promise for generations yet unseen. As dawn broke over the savannah, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Amina reflected on the events that had unfolded. The confrontation with the poacher, Niara's slow acceptance of her as a protector, and the gentle bond forming between them highlighted the pressing need for conservation efforts in their region. In this moment of serenity, she understood that protecting wildlife was not just a duty. It was a shared responsibility that bridged the gap between humans and nature. Amina knew that endangered animals like Niara and her cubs were vital to the ecosystem. Their survival ensured not only the balance of life within their habitat, but also maintained the cultural heritage of the communities surrounding them. When she stood among her allies, watching Niara groom her cubs and hear their soft purring resonate within the grove, Amina felt an overwhelming urgency to spread awareness about wildlife protection. If they could secure the lioness's safety, they could inspire others to understand their role in conserving these magnificent creatures. With renewed determination igniting her spirit, Amina gathered her companions for a discussion. They needed to create educational programs that emphasized the importance of preserving Africa's rich biodiversity. Informing local villagers about the value of sustainable practices would spark a change in attitudes toward wildlife, ensuring future generations recognized their worth beyond financial gain. A world where lions roamed freely was a world where people could thrive too, through tourism and natural harmony. Amina envisioned workshops that would connect children with their natural surroundings, teaching them about respect for wildlife and ecosystems. Activities like nature walks, storytelling sessions highlighting animal behaviors, and art projects focusing on wildlife appreciation could help foster an emotional connection with nature that would last a lifetime. By empowering young minds with knowledge, she believed they could grow into passionate advocates themselves, defending what matters most. The sense of community would also play a critical role in ongoing conservation efforts. Amina urged her allies to approach local leaders to form coalitions dedicated to wildlife preservation. These collaborations could involve setting up monitoring teams that reported any suspicious activities to authorities, while also creating wildlife-friendly policies benefiting both the ecosystem and residents. This journey wouldn't be easy, but Amina recognized that unity was their greatest asset. Together, they could work toward permanent solutions for tackling poaching and habitat destruction. Protecting a lioness and her cubs served as not just one isolated mission. Rather, it was part of a broader movement aimed at securing Africa's magnificent wildlife for future generations. As Niara basked lazily in the morning sun, her cubs played nearby. Amina felt hope bloom deeply within her heart. The peaceful coexistence she envisioned was gradually becoming a reality. Each step forward, whether through education initiatives or community engagement, was critical in fostering a culture of compassionate stewardship toward nature. In those moments spent alongside Nyara's family beneath vast African skies filled with possibilities yet unseen, Amina understood that transformation was possible through love for wildlife coupled with collective commitment. This story was not merely about saving one lioness and her cubs, but about inspiring people worldwide to stand together against those who threatened life and beauty across our planet. As she prepared to share these ideas with her allies, in action, moving forward at the edge of this stunning wilderness, reclaimed through hope-filled possibilities. The echoes of newfound voices surged forth under dawn's light, creating harmonious ripples across Savannah's vast expanses, beckoning others toward brighter tomorrows, intertwined with nature's resilience. As Amina stood in the warm glow of the morning sun, watching Nyara and her cubs bask peacefully in the savannah, she felt a deep sense of gratitude for what had transpired. The confrontation with the poacher had forged a powerful connection between them, one that transcended species and exemplified the profound bond that can exist between humans and animals. It was a reminder that courage and compassion could lead to remarkable outcomes for those who needed protection most. In that serene moment, Amina reflected on the larger significance of their journey. The story of Nyara and her cubs was not merely about saving one lioness's family. It symbolized the collective responsibility humanity holds toward wildlife conservation. Every individual has a role to play in safeguarding the delicate balance of nature, and Amina knew that her efforts could inspire others to take action. The experience with Nyara had illuminated the importance of protecting endangered species and their habitats. Amina realized that when people understand the value of wildlife, they become more likely to advocate for its preservation. It was not just about preventing poaching. It was about nurturing a mindset where coexistence flourishes, where humans see themselves as stewards of the earth rather than conquerors. Amina envisioned a future where children grew up with a deep respect for their environment, recognizing the beauty and importance of every living creature. She dreamed of educational programs that would instill this appreciation from an early age, teaching kids to connect with nature through hands-on experiences that would shape their understanding of ecosystems and wildlife conservation. It could be as simple as organizing community hikes, storytelling sessions featuring local wildlife legends, or art projects inspired by the animals they encountered. As she walked back toward her allies, Amina shared her vision with them, emphasizing how important it was to engage local communities in these efforts. Together, they could foster a culture of conservation that celebrated nature's wonders and empowered individuals to protect it. This united approach would not only safeguard wildlife, but also enrich the lives of those who lived alongside these magnificent creatures. Each one of us has the power to make a difference, Amina urged her friends passionately. We are all connected through this land and its inhabitants. The more we learn about them, the more we will care. Their discussions were filled with enthusiasm as they brainstormed ideas for workshops and outreach programs aimed at enhancing awareness. Yet, Amina understood that bravery was not only shown during moments of crisis. It also resided in everyday actions, like educating oneself about environmental issues or standing up for what is right in one's community. By embodying this courage in their daily lives, each person could contribute to a ripple effect that would ultimately pave the way for lasting change. As she looked over at Nyara once more, now playfully rolling around with her cubs, Amina felt hope blossom within her heart. The lioness's resilience mirrored that of humanity's ability to adapt and protect what mattered most. Amina knew they could achieve greatness together, humans embracing their role as guardians while respecting wildlife as essential partners in the circle of life. Their paths were intertwined now. Amina felt a renewed sense of purpose as she promised to stand alongside Niara and her family for generations to come. With each passing day filled with shared experiences and mutual respect, they could create a legacy that celebrated bravery in all forms. A legacy where love for both humanity and nature thrived harmoniously under Africa's vast skies. In that beautiful savanna, bound by compassion and understanding, they became symbols of hope, a testament to what can be accomplished when hearts unite against adversity, an inspiring call for others around the world to join in protecting life's precious tapestry, woven together through courage.